humans need physical and personal connection. Without that, then you're just grinding because your personal connections aren't there because you did things for the wrong reasons. So now you have to go find yourself or change your entire personality in order to go down that path of fulfillment.
Hello, my fellow humans, and welcome to the Multiverse Technology Podcast. Today's guest is Greg Wasserman, who believes life's about time and relationships. Greg, welcome to the podcast.
Great to be here, Justin.
Yes, I'm glad to have you here today. If you could take us and the audience on your journey, kind of what got you to where you are now, what you had to go through, and then right now, how you're helping people build relationships from podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, born and raised in Chicago, came out to LA for college and just never left. So the Midwest roots run deep, but I need the warm weather. So that's what brought me out here. I've always been an extrovert, athlete, but just a person who was always talking and connecting. You could be a little ADHD in me, I guess we could say, but a little neurodivergent. There you go. But it's always been people and connections. That's how I've always looked at my life. And it wasn't until, recently that I really saw that thread being run deeper. I spent majority of my career in advertising. The way I looked at it was I had something I had to sell. And the way I always viewed as someone I was selling to is buyers don't buy the way sellers want them to. So for me, it was always about relationships. It was always I was known as the chocolate man. I would always tape my business card to a bar of chocolate. Fortunately, Trader Joe's no longer carries it, but you would always know that if you met me, you were getting this bar of chocolate. It just became my calling card. It just became something that was different, unique, that created a relationship so that even the secretary, the person at the front desk was going to get it. So every time I met with you, you were going to get one. And in offices where there were multiple teams, it was always funny to go, Greg must have been here because they saw the chocolate bar being there as opposed to what most people were doing was just like, oh, cupcakes. It's like, well, everyone can bring cupcakes, but like this was a dedicated, you knew it was the same bar of chocolate. I just branded it that way. And it's always been my way of thinking about how do I go above and beyond, but also create a relationship, create that connection. And so that's kind of where I've taken my life in terms of thinking about life is about time and relationships. How do I, as my brain always thinks about other people and go, look, I may not have the solution for you. I may not have the answer for you, but I talk to so many people. I have such curiosity. So how could I be the resource for you to ultimately save you from the 1,000 emails of pitches that you're going to get or the answers that you may not even know that you need and going, hey, let's have a conversation. Let's see and understand what you're trying to go through. And most likely I either know someone or I'm always talking to people and you will always be top of mind so that I can make those connections. And that's the way I've kind of lived.
I love that, especially about the chocolate bar. Everyone loves candy. And you walk into a place, they're like, okay, Greg, you're welcome here. I like that.
It's always funny when you meet someone, they're like, I don't like chocolate. I'm like, ooh, you're not my people, right? But I get it. Not everyone has the sweet tooth or not everyone enjoys chocolate. But I grew up in a household where chocolate was the necessity of life.
Yeah, like a backup. Here's a pack of gum. Okay, bye.
Right? Yeah.
I like that because someone once told me, walk in with your card and popcorn. And I'm like, well, popcorn's kind of messy sometimes. And maybe you're buying it like not in the package, I'm like, but the chocolate, I'm going to try that. I'm going to hold you to that. I'm going to see how that works out. I'll let you know.
Did it for, I don't know. I mean, COVID hit, so I'm not doing in person and the chocolate doesn't exist. And I don't have business cards anymore, but I did that for over a decade. So Trader Joe's, it would always be funny. I'd call up Trader Joe's and go, hey, do you have this bar of chocolate? Because there'd be times I'd go into my local Trader Joe's and they didn't have it. So
what chocolate was it? What was so special about this one?
It was dark chocolate with sea salt and caramel. So it was gooey. It had multiple flavors. It was good.
What was your outcome with that when you go into places? Man, I imagine it build those relationships quite well. Be able to get business, connections.
I haven't been in the media space for, what is that, 7 years if we look at the recording of this right now. And people still will remember not only what I've said is life is about time and relationships, but also Greg with his chocolate bar, right? And those are just the small little things. There's like a $2 bar of chocolate that you create this brand identity around, as opposed to, I remember this person who took me to whatever event. And so it's a memory of an experience. And here I was able to create the emotional connection with me, that bar, and know that you will always get that.
Man, I love that. Definitely gotta take one out of your playbook. Are you doing anything similar to that now?
I mean, in the virtual world, it's hard, and that's what I miss about going to places and having business cards and those physical components that create the tangible leave behinds. Even if after you eat the chocolate, it's gone, and you've just got a desk full of my business cards. You toss the business card out because you're like, Craig, I got this 5 times, but you're still gonna get it, right? But yeah, I miss that from the COVID world. So no, I haven't figured out a new what is Greg's brand in that regards, but I think the component of me being a relationship person still continues to exist. I now don't have a commute. I'm now not going face to face, but the value that we can still bring of as relationship people and connections, and understanding how important that is and how much harder we have to work now because we're in the digital space to send a LinkedIn message, to engage on social,
Social.
to send the emails. I was thinking about you. I mean, that's one thing that's always been something I pride myself on, is most people from a relationship standpoint, it's out of sight, out of mind. And so
Yeah.
how often do you have like, oh, I thought about you, right? We've all had this situation where someone hits you up and they're like, "Oh, I thought about you recently." And it's like, "Well, why didn't you text me? Like, why are we waiting like months later till us finally talking?" Like when that thought
Right?
comes in your mind, send them a quick text. All it has to be is like, "I was thinking about you." And that just means the world to most of us, is a connection for, I was top of mind, you thought about me, there was something there. I don't have time to respond. And you don't have to respond most of the time. You can say, "Hey, thanks for thinking of me. I don't have the time to respond, but we should catch up." At least you guys know that you're creating that connection, and that works great not only in personal life but in business.
I love that. I'm still trying to figure that out for myself because digital connections can seem very hard sometimes. There's so much noise, so many people trying to get your attention. They want your attention, trying to sell you something. And you have your businesses to run, your kids, everything. It seems just like it's so noisy.
It
How,
is, and I
yeah,
find that, yeah, I find the easiest way to cut through the noise is authenticity, which is also why I love podcasting, because you kind of have to be. I mean, this is who I am. I'm not the most polished, right? Like, yeah, you're wearing a t-shirt for anyone that's listening, right? I put on a button down so that I could be a little more professional, but I also had a meeting earlier today, so there was something there. But for the most part, yeah, I'm in a hoodie. This is who I am, and this is how I talk. You're not everyone's cup of tea, but that's also what makes us all unique, and that's what I enjoy about the personal relationships, is you find the people that, I may not have what you're looking for. I may not have the solution. I may not have the answer. But if we get along, if you like my vibe, the quote unquote, if you would grab a drink with me, if you drank, right? Like, I would be happy to sit in a bar and talk to this person. That's all I want to do, is be able to pass that sniff test. Because if you can pass that, then most likely you can figure out, right? You can figure out, is this a person that not necessarily I want to do business with, but that I want in my life, I want in my network. Others will look at it as going like, I don't care who the person is. If business is business, if it's going to make me money, if it's going to drive sales, then great. And I've had people that have been able to do that. They're like, head down, I'm just going to suck it up and figure out how do we make this deal work, because the economics are there. And I'm like, I only want to work with people that I actually like want to work with,
I
like
don't know how people do
diversity,
that. That's so
right?
hard for me.
And it's hard for me too. And I'm sure many people that are listening to this and hear this story can relate. And other people will be like, no, Greg, I'm the anti you in that regards, which is great. That's why there's all these different cups of tea.
True. And I used to try figure that out with myself in the beginning. Let me just work with this person, it's fine. But then like something wouldn't sit right inside me. So I like to do things from the heart, to be of value, to help people truly and mean it. So for me, it was just harder to make that connection with, if the connection wasn't there, I couldn't really do business with them. It was hard.
And you think about that for a small business owner or any business owners, right? Most of us start off as, I just need a paycheck per se. I need a client. I
Yeah.
need that. So I say yes to anything until I really figure out, I'm saying yes to either the wrong things or I said yes, it got me where I am. How do I start saying no so I can pivot to where I need to be and take the experiences I got from this, which is just life in general, right? I mean, I've had many jobs where they're quote unquote jobs with terrible bosses, right? We all can relate to that. And so when do you actually find a job that fills you, whether it's your own or you're working for someone else, and having leaders versus a boss? And some of the times it's hard because especially in the day and age where a lot of people are getting let go, there's a lot of unemployment. You're like, I just will take whatever I can. You also feel so much more fulfilled when you're working in a better environment that suits you with clients that suit you, as opposed to the boiler room vibe. And you're like, that's not my piece versus some person who says, no, I love the boiler room. That is my place. So that's going
Let's
to be a
do it.
better fit for them. Right. Exactly. I think for anyone that's listening, it's probably relatable is how
Yeah.
do we find who we are? And a lot of that comes with some experience, but also the what connections do we need that are going to feed us and humans, I know we'll talk about this, but humans need physical and personal connection, and
Yeah.
without that then you're just grinding just for a paycheck or a good paycheck, a large paycheck. But we've heard the stories many times. I feel soulless. I got all this money. I've got all the
Yeah.
toys, but I feel unfulfilled. Why? Because your personal connections aren't there because you did things for the wrong reasons. So now you have to go find yourself or change your entire personality in order to go down that path of
Hey, my fellow humans, sorry to interrupt your video, but if you're looking for more ways to protect and empower your healthcare practice, we would love to help. At ITCMD, our mission is to simplify IT, boost security, and support your compliance journey with a human touch so you can focus on caring for your patients. Want to see how easy IT and cybersecurity can be? Schedule a free consult or check out our resources at iteecmd.net. Let's build a safer, stronger future together. Okay, bye.
fulfillment.
I hear that so much. I also see it so much, especially being in cybersecurity. I see that a lot with like leaders and people I've worked with before. It's like like a soulless machine. They're just grinding at it, and sometimes they may never realize it, and they're fine in going that direction. But a lot of us at times to get to the point where like, I want to be more human. What does this mean to me? How can I provide value more? How can I find my soul? And like you said, searching for themselves. I feel the world's trying to do that a little bit more now too.
And I think it's an interesting framing, right? So anyone that's listening, you could frame in your mind the how do I position what I feel is value, and some people may say no, that's not. So if a good example is selling, right? And can I get behind this product? And a lot of people be able to sell ice to Eskimos if that analogy works, right? And some be like, no, I can't do it. I'm the kind of person I can't sell ice to an Eskimo because I want them to have it unless they need it, right? Another person be like, I can frame this, like it's helping them out, and it's just a matter of how you justify, frame it, and create the value for the other individual or the psychology behind it. Like there's a lot of psychology in course selling,
Yeah.
but also in humans and understanding how do we you either can look at it as manipulation, you could look at it as different kinds of framing. So for me, I've always been just this is who I am and I just want to be friends and I want to be able to serve you and support you because that will lead us all to a better place.
I love that. I'm on that same journey. And I just feel when you're on this kind of journey, those relationships and the people you meet, there's something about them. They last longer. They feel more genuine. They feel like there's just something about that brings a community together. To the people that are going to be able to help support you, you support them. And it's like give and take. You help them help you. That's how community should be. That's how we should be as human beings. I feel.
And I think you touch on a great point, Justin, like community. I mean, that's what I love about working in podcasting because podcasting is about community. How do I create a community no different than this podcast we've got here and the community that's listening to this?
Yeah.
So you've come up, you show up authentically, You bring on guests that are going to provide value and unique perspectives. And not every one of us that's here as a guest is going to relate or connect with your community, but they still show up because you know what? I'm thankful that Justin's bringing these perspectives, or I'm thankful that Justin's bringing this conversation to the forefront of my mind of me. And because of that, now you were able to create this connection with whoever's listening, whoever's going to your website, whoever's engaging with your social. It's not just listening to it, right? And that's where podcasting becomes such a cool, unique perspective on community building.
Love that. And then also, people can't forget the part that even if people don't like watching it and what you have to say, also the host and guests are learning from each other too. And that's providing such value.
I mean, at the end of the day, as a podcast, we're supposed to be doing this for the listener, but part of
Yeah.
it is the listener, A, being the fly in the wall of the growth of the conversation that's happening, and B, as I like to do, breaking the fourth wall and let's bring the listener in so that they're not just a fly of two people talking kind of conversation, right?
Yes. But make it more engaging where they can actually understand and bring themselves into it. I love that. Now, if we're talking about podcasting, it's a very powerful tool. I've learned how powerful can be to be able to have tough conversations, to be able to connect with potential clients, and to be able to help people live better and fulfilling lives. So I know some people do podcasting as a business, and some do it as a business and a tool to help change people's lives. I know there's different ways around it, however you frame it, like you were saying before. But I mean, you still have to make money at the end of the day too. But you want to be, I feel you want to give more than take away.
And so this is where I kind of lean on the coaching style of podcasting that I've adopted. And it is using podcasting as a relationship building tool, which I think is the greatest piece, right? So the value of not trying to close a sale today, but how do I create a relationship through the connection of my podcast and the ability to elevate a voice. This is why I believe every business should have a podcast, because you could sit here in the current day and age where AI is very easy to send out automated emails, send out LinkedIn connections, and you're like, is this a person? Is this a bot? I mean, technically, we'd say you've got AI voices. So, are we actually talking, or is this our voices as an AI? But I don't think AI is going to mimic the version of Greg that you're getting, right?
Do we
The
exist? What really
yeah,
exists?
right,
Who are we?
exactly. But the power of podcasting then allows you to create those relationships, create the connection, and not focused on how do I sell today. And so if you can bring on, I know you do a lot more, but if an average person does 50 podcasts a year, that's 50 guests that you could bring on. That's 50 conversations that if you were actually trying to cold call those 50 people,
Hell
and
no.
say, "Hey, I'm just going to sell to you," they would not do it, right? So now you can bring them on and create an actual, do I like this person? Did this person elevate me in a good way that the world, right? In that sense is listening to this conversation and out there. So was I able to help make my guest sound and look good and create a connection between the two of us? And from there, then your guest then promotes you to their network, which elevates you and builds your know, like, and trust. So over time, when you actually do a podcast consistently, which is where most people fail, they're not consistent
Yeah.
on it. Through time, you're building your know, like, and trust. You're building your reputation. You're building the relationships, and you're building a content engine all through just a conversation you're able to have, which that's why I say most people, if you have a podcast, you're going to find the ROI. It's not going to cover your cost today of producing, as you said, you've having a production company or the tools and everything else. But like if you're selling $1,000 package or $20,000 package or whatever it is that your company, whether it's a software, whether it's a service, whether it's coaching, you will make the income back. If nothing else, you'll elevate your connections. You'll end up getting into more opportunities that you didn't have before you started podcasting, no different than those that are speakers that find the stage and find the value of going down that path. And that's a soapbox there for you.
I love that. I mean, I've actually experienced that myself. It is a long-term game. It takes time to build that know, like, and trust, to build up the podcast. And like when I do outreach and I use my podcast, it works pretty well. And I always get the same question: "Well, how many podcasts have you? How many episodes are you on?" And for the very reason that you said earlier, most people, they fall off at 10, 15, 20, maybe 50, and they don't have it ever again. But I feel also when people are doing that, their why is not that strong too. Like, why are they doing it? What really true value are they trying to bring in to help people? I see that a lot in the podcast community too. If they're not trying to bring value, they're trying to make money, just trying to sell, trying to push stuff. You feel that from them, and then they're gone within like months, and they're not there anymore, or they have like 5 episodes.
And that, I mean, it's hard work, but it's also, as I find, most people that start a podcast are lacking two things. One is strategy. So what's their true reason why? And how do I make money? They think that they need to go ahead and grow their podcast. I mean, this is why
I
uh,
thought,
yeah, right. I work for RSS.com, which is one of the largest podcast hosting companies. And like, we focus on not only giving the user, so our customers, the ability to start monetizing after 10 downloads. So it's like, great, here's the ability for you to put in ads and at least start making money in that regards. But also, how do I make it easy and simple? Because the strategy should be your focus, the understanding of what is it going to take to actually do this and the long-term potential. But if you do that, it's the reward is worth it.
I like that. I have to look more into your company, rssfeed.com. And I've been looking at that whole monetization. What is that about? How does it work? Is it going to take away from me podcasting? Is it going to control what I do? I don't know much about it yet. Can you kind of explain, like, say me or someone else is trying to get into podcasting? How does that look?
Yeah, I mean, so if we look at the way I coach people is you use your podcast to drive for your business. But if you're looking at it as how do I make money and look at the additional auxiliary income potential you've got from ads, from advertisers, from sponsors, that shouldn't be your main focus unless you're going into it being I want to be a media brand, which means I want to just grow this and your source of income is more tied to the advertising side as opposed to the business side of what you offer, the speaking, the relationships, the know, like, and trust that you're building from there. So if you were looking at it from a media standpoint, and how do I make ads, make money from ads? There's a couple ways you can go about it. So with RSS.com, we've got a programmatic solution, meaning think about a radio commercial and I just flip a switch and I either have the ad come on at the beginning before you start talking, I can insert it in the middle, and I can insert it at the end. And you get to choose. You don't get to choose the ad, but you get to choose do ads get to run? And the way for everyone that's listening. So the biggest misconception is advertising. And the way it works is it's on a cost per thousand basis. So if you have 1,000 downloads, that's potentially 1,000 impressions, which would be if someone's going to pay you $10 for 1,000 impressions, you just made $10. Best way to look at it, right? So the going rate is usually around $20, but it all depends. If you're incredibly niche and said, hey, Greg, my show only speaks to CMOs at mid-level companies, well, that's a very small market in some regards. So advertisers said, well, great, I want to advertise on Justin's shows, or since you're in cybersecurity, great. The only people that's listening to this are in cybersecurity. So if you want to reach cybersecurity decision makers, you should be advertising on my show. And because of that, it's going to cost you more than $20 because I know if you're able to sell whatever cybersecurity solution you've got to these cybersecurity people that are listening, the cost of that is pretty good. So you're going to have to pay me $100 as opposed to 20. So it all just understanding who your audience is. The more you can understand your audience, the more you can understand what's the value you not only bring to your audience, but the value you're bringing to the advertiser. So you can find the right advertiser that matches your audience. And that goes into a lot of different functions and behaviors that we can geek out on. But I'm sure anyone listening, that's at least a high level.
Yeah. Well, mentioning that, I find myself here trying to figure out my audience analytics, trying to figure out who are the people that are actually listening. Because I'm only assuming based upon the people I'm trying to reach. But how do I actually find out who those people really are, where they're coming from, and why they're here? I mean, there has to be a way, right?
There's a couple ways, but if anyone's listening here, please send a review to Justin. Give him a review of his podcast on Apple, Spotify. better yet, go ahead and send him an email or comment on his social posts and go, I really find value in X, Y, and Z. Nothing's better as a guest, because I don't have my own show, but nothing's better as a guest to get someone saying, I heard you on Justin's podcast. And I'm like, I just got someone who I've never heard of reaching out to me, telling me that they listen to Justin. And I'm going to go to Justin going, Justin, here's someone that said you brought them value by bringing me on to your show, but also they listen to you. So that's incredible. So we speak in the void. I mean, anyone right now listening, Justin and I are
Are
just
you
two
there?
people staring at a screen, right? Exactly. Right. We have no clue who's listening. So
Hello?
from that standpoint, it is provide feedback. If you think about it, how many of you don't leave reviews on Yelp, but we all go to Yelp for feedback of where we should be eating or what we should be doing? It's like, I don't
But
know
some
who
of
these
those
people
aren't
are.
real though. How do you know if they're really saying
Exactly, right? So you've got that whole skepticism there. So anyone from a feedback standpoint, go give Justin some feedback. Let him know that's also the only way he's going to improve the content that's in your ear, whether it's the quality of the guests, whether it's the quality of the conversation or the quality of the actual audio, right? So if you're not giving him feedback, he's just going to keep pumping out content and not
I don't know what
realize
you want to
how could he
hear.
should do it, right? And then for you, Justin, the other side is you've got analytics that you can log into. So your hosting company has downloads and analytics and insights there. Logging into Apple and Spotify for their first party data to get an understanding of where do people drop off? Where's the average person dropping off on their on the consumption of your episode and going like, I think before we started talking, you're like, oh, I've cut down the time of my show because the average time for a podcast is 35 to 45 minutes. You got to think about who's my audience, how much time do they have, where do I need to make sure I am loading the content for them because they're either doing it on a commute, they're doing it at lunch hour, wherever you're finding in your analytics is where people are consuming. Then you start understanding how long should I make this? Where do I need to put the content, the lead, as opposed to the conversation just being this unstructured component. A lot of that will come from those analytical dashboards.
I always thought before, like, oh, I'm making content. It's fine. They'll like all of it. No big deal. But I'm realizing it does have to be kind of structured. I do need to look at those analytics more. I mean, I get replies to, we have a newsletter I send out. I get replies to that. And I get people like, oh, I love this part about this episode, but then they pitch me to come on the show. So at the same time, I mean, it is an analytic, but it's like trying to put all that information together and figure out how can I make this better? I guess that's kind of the key to that part.
Surveys, I think all of us, surveys work, polls, comments, anything that you can do to give Justin a little feedback of, there's too much talking, there's not a good enough questions, or I love the insights that Justin brings, or I love the insights of just the people he's bringing on his show, whatever it may be, that's going to feed what you may want to put out there for more content. Otherwise, you're just bringing on great guests for great conversations that the world you want to serve and
Yeah, pretty
have
much.
other people hear it, right? And that's it. So anyone that's listening is like, I'm tuning in because Justin's bringing on insightful people that I get to learn from, and there's always some kind of wisdom. And if nothing else, you get a few little quotable quote cards you can pull out there,
You
and
know,
that
someone
becomes
that
your
spent
social
time
post.
with me. Ugh, do you know who I am?
Yeah.
Do you know who my parents are? No, seriously, do you know? I'm still looking. And I actually did that before I first started. I'm like, well, I'm going to bring this person on, bring this on, have this conversation. There's just no direction. I got more clarity and direction as I actually started doing the podcast, having conversation, and realizing how I want to frame this to help people. It took some time. You don't learn everything in a day.
No. And I mean, that's why a lot of us say, don't listen to my early episodes because I'm still figuring out, which is
Yeah.
another thing, right? Anyone that's listening who's thinking about starting a podcast, have a strategy and understand why you're doing it. Set up some systems because it's going to help you long term. But don't wait to hit record because it ain't going to be perfect. And most likely people aren't they're going to evolve with your show and you'll find new ways to attract an audience or who the right audience is. The biggest thing is at least have good sounding quality audio because that is the last thing that you want and the first thing that people will stop listening to you if the audio is off.
That is true. I'm one of those. I've noticed too from my old episodes and stuff that No one else really cared but me. I've got feedback, oh, this is pretty good. And in my head, I'm like, oh my God, who's that guy talking? Please stop talking. You're mumbling, you're rambling. Just don't look at yourself. But no one else really cares. It's just all in my head.
And that is also the interesting thing about, social and podcasting is how much of us think our voice sounds annoying. I mean, I still think I'm like, who wants to hear me? And then you get to talk to other people, and I'm honored that you bring me on as a guest, going like, all right, you clearly don't think that my voice is annoying, and that
You
anyone
don't
that's going
like
to
my
listen, right?
voice. That's awesome.
Right? And then we realize 8 billion people here. We're all not everyone's cups of tea. Maybe I'm not as eloquent and I talk too fast. Who knows? Right? Like we have no clue where someone else will find value, but we all know as humans we can just be curious and we all have a story to tell and a lot to learn from each other.
Our tribe finds us, is what I've been learning.
There you
We
go.
don't pick our tribe, they pick us. They value us for some reason. I mean, I kind of have an idea, but yeah. Oh, man, it's a tough game sometimes. I enjoy it still. It's really nice.
Well, clearly, whoever's listening, whoever's reading your newsletter, they find the value that you're
Yeah.
bringing and the value of these conversations of importance. And if nothing else, that's also the great thing about it is it's a legacy. So even if it doesn't pay the bills, even if it doesn't drive the
Dad, was that you?
revenue,
Yeah, son. That was me.
these are documented legacies that you are able to bring conversations of people to the world. And we can't look at that as anything small.
No, we can't. I love how you said that. It's so true. Whatever we say and what we put on the internet, stay there forever. People don't realize that, but forever.
I
Can't get
mean,
rid of.
we've got customers, that are hosting with RSS.com that it's a father and a daughter who they talk about Pokemon. And like, is anyone really going to sit there and listen to their show? I have no clue. I don't look at their analytics, but I just go that story. It's like, if nothing else, then in 10 years, when that little girl is older and they can look back on these conversations and this time spent together. And if other people tuned in or and found value in father and daughter connecting over a game in that regards and going like, yes, this is what I want. Or there was inspiration going like, wow, I'm inspired by this father and daughter to do this. I want to go and do more fun activities with my kid. I mean, then there's complete value in that as a legacy and the value it brings, even if it's not driving, monetarily value back to the host who's putting the time and energy in it.
Very well said. I love that. It's powerful right there. It's just very time well spent. We have
And
these
that goes
memories.
back to relationships. That's why I believe life is about time relationships. You can't
It
take
is.
away the fact that this father and daughter decided to spend the time together, record that, document it, and allow other people in on their lives or in on the joys that they want to bring others. As you said, find a tribe who says, yes, I find the joy in that as well.
Reminds me of this movie, I Can't Hardly Wait, from like the 90s, where
Love
it's
that
like, it's
movie.
all about the memories, man. The memories. Why does anyone care?
This is what Maya Angelou says. People forget what you said, but they won't forget the way you make them feel. And that's why I believe
Ooh,
relationships are key.
that is so strong. I love that. We're going to leave it right there so that can resonate with people. Greg, I want to thank you so much for coming on here today. It's a really great conversation with you. I had no idea where this was going to go. Turned out very well. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before we go, where can people reach out to you?
I live on LinkedIn. I know I'm one of those do as I say, not as I do. So I'm 100% LinkedIn, Greg Wasserman. You can't miss it. It says life is about time and relationships. I'm a relationship generator. That's me. And so please reach out. I love connecting. As this conversation goes to show, I have no clue where one conversation will take you. So I basically say yes to most. Even if you're trying to sell me, it's I don't know where that's going to go and where if good people connected will lead. So let's talk.
Thank you. So let's talk about timeshares real quick. Okay. So there's section 5, page 3. No, I'm just kidding. But definitely put that down in the show notes so they can reach out to you better. There's no timeshares on this show. I was just and I have one last question for you before we take off here. Dad, what does it mean to you to be a human being?
I think the cliche comes to mind when I hear that. And it's human being, not human doing. And too often we are so focused on doing, doing, doing. And I'm guilty, kettle black here. I'm so focused on the doing, doing, doing that we forget to be beings. And that's what I love about the relationship side of what I focus on is human being is we're being. We have to connect with others. We have to be curious. We are constantly evolving. The other cliche is only constant in life is change, right? So for me, human being has a lot to do with let's be present instead of the worries that we all have. It's hard. I mean, it's hard for all of us to do, and that's why I like that cliche. Let's be human beings, not human doings.
I love that. It's a great answer. I use that question to kind of provoke thought to people to kind of come to present and kind of remember who we are, where we come from. We don't do that enough, like you said. So yeah.
Great question. I guess I would be, since you ask everyone that comes on that answer, if you've started aggregating everyone's answers and put it as a potential part of your newsletter, going like, hey, these are some of the answers that people have given. Write me and
Mm.
let me know what your answer is. How would you respond to this? Right. And I'd be curious to know anyone that's listening what their answers are, not just those that are the guest of your show.
I love that. I'm gonna have to start doing that. I was trying to figure out something different to do with my newsletter to kind of keep it more engaging. And you just gave me the sauce right there, buddy. I appreciate you. Who
My
are you? Where'd you
pleasure.
come from? What the?
It's a world I work in, and then that's how my brain just operates. It's like, all right, we're all in the podcast space. How do we create more engagement? How do we create connection? We do such a great job in the conversations we bring, but how do we then get our listeners, get our audience engaged in those conversations? One of my other things that I love is discussion questions. Can you go ahead? You can use AI and throw in our conversation going, if someone was to listen to this, what would be discussion questions that they can go take to their friends and say, I listened to this episode and I had some questions for you, and actually start creating a conversation. And either they listen to the episode or they just have enough to create a conversation around what you and your guest were able to bring to the table.
You just gave me so much homework to do this week, and now I'll be doing my entire newsletter. Thank you, but no thank you, but I appreciate you.
Gotta love AI. It helps you do it, and then you just
It
gotta edit
does.
it.
Yes, it really does. It is a true game changer for sure. Well, thank you again, Greg, so much for your insights. It's been a pleasure having you on here, and I appreciate you coming. Thank you.
Justin, thank you once again. I appreciate it.